Good everyone. Today we're gonna talk about the psychological perspective. Psychological perspective, it introduces the concept of the self. In psychology, it emphasizes that the self is formed by an individual experiences and its heavily reaching area of social and personality psychological extended. Beyond physical attribute, the psychology identity. Historically, humans have founded their non-physical self, leading to continuous inquiry who I am and what I am beyond my looks. It means that psychological perspective is composed with our individual experiences. The key objective of this module include analyzing psychological theories of the self and understanding the self as a cognitive construction, viewing the self as a proactive and genetic. Cognitive construction is defined as a cognitive approach focusing on a mental process rather than on observable behavior, aiming to help individuals integrate new information and adapt their existing intellectual framework. It means that cognitive construction focuses on the mental process rather than on observable behavior to help us integrate new information. According to William James, the concept of the me-self and I-self, the me-self is composed of three components. The first one is the material self, social self, and spiritual self. First, let's talk about the material self. Material self refers to the position and things that a person considers as their own or that they feel a sense of belonging. Sample of this is ito yung mga bagay na or pag-aari ng isang tao or ang posisyon ng isang tao. Parang, halimbawa, mga bahay, ari-arian, o kotse, o ano pa man, yan ang consider as material self. So, sa social self naman, refers to how we interact in different situation. It means that social self refers as how we communicate or how we interact with other people. So, the third concept of me-self, spiritual self, these things include personality values and conscience elements that are generally considered to be stable and enduring throughout person, unlike the social self, which can adapt different situations. It means that spiritual self is focused on our beliefs or our personality values.
Global versus differentiated models. The self has been viewed as either made up to different parts that may conflict or as an integrated whole. Early ideas from William James introduced the concept of self-esteem, which is a person's overall evaluation of their worth. Over time, self-esteem became widely studied and recognized as an important part of personality. Global self-esteem refers to a person's general stabilization sense of self-worth across time and situations. And the next is state self-esteem. Self-state esteem describes temporary feelings about oneself that changes depending on experience or events. And the next one is domain-specific self-esteem. Domain-specific self-esteem focuses on how people evaluate themselves in a particular area, such as abilities or physical areas, such as physical traits or personal characteristics. In understanding the self as a center of a personality, psychology emphasizes internal processes like thoughts, emotions, and self-concept, highlighting the human dignity and the capacity of growth and self-realization. Karen Horney proposed that people have three parts of the self: the ideal self, actual self, and the real self. She believed basic anxiety leads to people to create an idealized image of themselves with perfect qualities, while the actual self is who they are in daily lives and many real inadequate compared to this idea. The real self is an inner force that promotes growth and self-realization once a person resolves inner conflict. Carl Roger explained that the self, through the real self or self-concept, and ideal self, the real self includes our true experience and self-image, while the ideal self represent our goals and aspirations shaped by society and personal values. When the real and ideal selves are aligned, a person experiences well-being, but a large gap between them leads to distress and anxiety. But the main idea, both theories emphasize that the understanding and aligning different parts of the self is important for personal growth and mental health. Multiple versus undefined selves. Postmodern psychology, supported by Kenneth Gurdjieff, suggests that the identity is flexible and changes across differential social situations. People can develop multiple selves shaped by their relationships and life's experience, meaning there is no single fixed answer to who am I. In contrast, traditional psychology emphasizes a united self, where well-being comes from having a coherent, consistent, and organized personal with the ego at the center. But the main idea, the debate focuses on whether identity is fluid and shaped by context or stable and unified, with both perspective highlighting the importance of mental well-being.
True versus false selves. Donald W. Winnick. Distinguish what he called the true self from the false self in the human personality, considering the true self as based on a sense of being in the experienced body and the false self as a necessary defensive organization. A survival kit, a caretaker self, the means by which threatened person has managed to survive. Klein, 1994. True self as a sense of integrity of connected wholeness that harks to the early stage, and false self is used when the person has to comply with external rules such as being polite or otherwise following social codes. The false self constantly seeks to anticipate demand of others in order to maintain the relationship. The healthy false self is functional and can be compliant but without the feeling that it has betrayed its true self. The unhealthy false self fits in but through a feeling of forced compliance rather than loving adaptation. False selves, as investigated by Heinz Kohut, 1971, can lead towards narcissistic personality which identifies with external factors at the cost of one's own autonomous creativity. Agent self. The agent self is known as the executive function that allows for actions. This is how individuals make choices and utilize our control in situations and actions. The agent self resides over everything that involves decision-making, self-control, taking charge in situations, and actively responding. A person might desire to eat unhealthy foods, however, it is his or her agent self that allows that person to choose and avoid eating them and make healthier food choices. Baumeister and Bushman, 2011. Human agency is not a thing but an active process of exploring, manipulating, and influencing the environment in order to attain desired outcomes. According to Albert Bandura, the core feature of human agency are intentionally act of person performs intentionally. Forethought, setting goals and anticipation of outcomes of actions. Selection of behaviors to produce desired outcomes and avoiding undesirable ones. Self-reactiveness, monitoring progress towards fulfilling choices, and self-reflectiveness, examination of own functioning, evaluation of the effect of other people's action on them. This leads to self-efficacy, the belief that they are capable of performing actions that will produce a desired effect. Self-efficacy lies in the center of Bandura's social cognitive theory. It is measure of one's ability to complete goals. People with high self-efficacy often are eager to accept challenges because they believe they can overcome them. While people with low self-efficacy may avoid challenges or believe experiences are more challenging than they actually are.